Hi, I'm Christina.
And I'm Matt.
And this is New Ways Podcast. Today, we are talking about burnout.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
We've all been there. We've all felt it. So let's talk about it.
Some more than others, but definitely, yeah, let's talk about it. I think it's so prevalent to kind of get us going, I guess. Our topics today, I Googled the Webster Dictionary because I feel like you always ask me, what's the Webster Dictionary?
I do. Because I pulled it up, funny enough. Because I'm waiting for this. So you have your Webster Dictionary. So please, so you're one step ahead.
Should we
already.
compare? I'm trying. Being prepared helps with burnout, guys. It does.
There's only one Webster Dictionary.
But okay. I always get nervous. The internet comes up with 500 different things, I feel like, at the same time. Anyways. So tell me if you have the same one. It says exhaustion of physical or emotional strength or motivation, usually as a result of prolonged stress or frustration. Can't talk today, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was. Okay, I looked in the right place. Good. I'm used to using AI for everything, you guys. It's a blessing and a curse.
It is.
So pretty much, yeah, exhaustion from prolonged stress and frustration.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that's a good definition, but I feel like it's very complex, and we're going to kind of break it apart and find out what's burnout to us on a deeper level, more than just the Webster Dictionary, as well as like how to cope with it, hopefully.
For sure.
So let's start with our personal experience then, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into it. So honestly, when I can think about burnout, one of the biggest things for me is that I end up just sort of staying in place. I physically will just like not move. I'm sort of like paralyzed in a way. And that's how I realize I'm like, oh, this is not healthy. And I'm like creating those like self-realizations. So I think that is definitely one of the first signs for me of burnout is when I physically don't want to move. Whether I'm just like laying in bed, it feels like you're almost paralyzed in a way.
It feels like you're getting sick to me. I feel like everything's sore in a way.
Yep.
But I can relate to that.
For sure. For sure.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what kind of causes that reaction, physical reaction?
Anxiety. No, sorry. No, I would say that anxiety for me is a big part of burnout because I think that's what a lot of obviously stress leads to burnout and anxiety leads to stress. So a lot of it just dominoes. And also too, just like recognizing when I'm not taking breaks is definitely also another sign of burnout for me. Just genuinely recognize. I'm like, oh wait, I haven't had time for myself in like 2 weeks. That's not good. You know, it's just, and it's just like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm feeling the burnout for sure. Also too, just like tears is a big one. If you just randomly start crying, you're like, oh,
that's a big indicator where you're like,
might be something wrong. I will say this though, like also too, have you seen people just crash out?
What do you mean crash out?
Crash out. Like just lose it. Just go off.
Oh, but that's what I mean though too, is it's just like.
Have you ever gone off the deep end? Have you ever crashed out, Christina? Christina's crash out?
I feel like I probably have at one point in my life, not anytime recently.
Yeah.
But like going into it too, like there's so many different definitions of burnout. Like I'm sure, can I come to the conclusion that type of burnout you're talking about is related to work?
Yeah.
But there's also like emotional burnout too. And I feel like I've probably crashed and burned more in like emotional burnout versus like a work related burnout in a way.
For sure.
That's probably where you've seen my like crazy side where something come out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like burnout can cause a lot of adverse reactions and like a chain effect from it. I think for me, burnout is definitely like you. Like I'm exhausted. I don't want to move. Oddly enough, do you believe you could have burnt out, like you could be burnt out but not know you're burning out?
Yes.
Okay.
All the time. If you ever get a weird tightness in your chest and you're like, why do I feel like this? Like you might be experiencing pre-burnout.
Yeah.
Like not even like, and you're not even someone who's anxious. Like I've had people come to me and they're like, I just feel like I can't breathe. And I'm like, well, what's going on in your day to day? And then they start telling me, and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't be able to breathe either. That's cool. Like, let's talk about that.
And do you think that's burnout though, or just like suffocation from like obligation?
Well, no, I mean, definitely suffocation from obligation. But that being said, like at its core, like you are starting to burn out.
No,
like
yeah.
you're removing a lot of your energy from being able to like be with yourself because you have to do something for someone else or something for some, other entity but your own.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's also a big part of it too.
Yeah. I brought that up though, like not knowing necessarily, because I'll never forget when I was working as a nurse during COVID, when we were doing like crazy hours, most people were at home. I was out there working my booty off, 72-hour work weeks for 3 months straight. And I remember I went home because I was just like, it was about to be the holidays. I made good money. I'm like, it's time for me to go. I've been here long enough. But I got back to Chicago. People looked at me and they're like, are you okay? Like, I guess I look at pictures now and I'm like, bags under my eyes. I'm pale. I don't have a smile on my face. I felt fine though.
Yeah.
I think it was because I knew like my purpose and my urge to do it was pushing me through, but my body was like, please help. Cause like I was not sleeping that much. And it was just, everyone's like, are you okay? And then oddly enough though, finally, when I allowed myself to rest, cause I was done with doing the FEMA work or whatnot.
Yeah.
My body, I stayed in bed for a very long time after that.
For sure.
Yeah. So how about we break down then, I guess, the different types of burnout.
Yeah.
And like what causes them.
I mean, we definitely talked about, the emotional burnout is a big one. We have physical burnout, emotional burnout.
Oddly enough, though, too, is like...
Ooh, be one?
What?
They don't talk about spiritual burnout.
Okay, we can bring that up.
No, that is something.
So we have emotional, physical, spiritual, as well as now they're actually saying that boredom can also produce burnout.
But would that be a form of emotional burnout?
I think that's like a lack of stimulus. To me, when I think of emotion, I think like emotionally drained, where that I kind of consider bored burnout as like numb.
Oh.
Okay. I would think if I'm bored, you're unmotivated, because what's not feeding your soul in your life a lot of times will just drain you in the long run.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
If you're not being challenged, like you're just comfortably numb. And I see that in a lot of people also. Okay. So let's start with the basic physical burnout. What do you think causes it?
Being on your feet too long.
Oh, definitely.
When your feet start getting tired, at the end of the day, you're just like, okay, I need to go. Like that. Like you're like, I need some sugar, Me, as soon as I get on this podcast.
You need sugar?
Yeah, no. I mean, I would be feeling burnout if I don't have I'm like low blood sugar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
You're like, I just need a pack of gummy bears.
Yeah.
And I'm fine.
Yeah, physical burnout, definitely like moving around too much. And it's so weird though, because like I said, in energy, I feel like this can relate to all those things, where it's like when I'm doing a leisurely activity though, like I can hike 20,000 steps probably and not feel fine. You know what I mean? Where I'll be honest with you, there's some days when I'm doing things that I don't like. If I'm at a certain hospital that drains me, I do on average probably 10 there, and I'm just like, my body feels like it's defeated.
Yeah.
So I do get that too, where like I'm also guilty of overtraining just for the sake of overtraining, because I used it as like a therapeutic release, but my body was like, you shouldn't be lifting this. You're insane. And then I feel burnt out from that. So I think physical burnout is definitely a thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like also emotional burnout can lead to physical burnout as well. Like when you're emotionally drained, then your body is like, I'm just chilling. It's all like, we talk holistic a lot, right?
Yeah.
So emotional burnout. Tell me about it.
What do you want to know? No, when I think about emotional burnout, I automatically go into like depression, anxiety. Then you talk about like fear is a big one of emotional burnout, because then you're discussing like, why are you not feeling stability in your life? And then that can be a culmination from a different things. So looking at how emotional burnout can affect your life, often people think that it just comes from one singular thing. And I not to quote, the wonderful Taylor Swift, but it's like her song Death by a Thousand Cuts. Because I think emotional burnout is just like constantly these little things that end up adding up to something much bigger. And then you crash out and you're like, why am I feeling this way? But if we sit down and talk about you've been feeling this because of these 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things, then we're going to have a catalyst for a much bigger problem.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you where like when we get into kind of like how to prevent burnout, I do feel like realizing it before it actually happens is definitely key. Certain situations can definitely drain you more than others, for sure. Like I feel like when it comes to certain type of people or certain type of topics, you can talk all day about it and it doesn't drain you. But like through like previous experiencing and experiences and programming and trauma, there could be that one person that like you don't want to talk to them because you know the second you talk to them, your energy is just going to go like tanking.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, I feel like emotional burnout can lead to more, what did you say again? The crashing and burning, right?
Yeah.
I think emotional, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I think emotional burnout probably leads to more crashing and burning and like sporadic outbursts than physical.
Yep.
Because that's actually where it's like, to me, that's more tormenting. My body hurts, I'm going to lay down. But if you're messing with like my mental health and I have all these different voices in my head talking about something, I can't. I will freak out.
Yep.
So yeah, there's definitely the emotional. So tell me then, you came up with spiritual burnout.
Yeah.
Let me hear it.
No, I mean, I think that it's a new concept I kind of been reflecting on the past probably 2 months. Because I think that, and funny enough, I actually was watching the TV show Righteous Gemstones. Have you ever seen it?
Isn't that the funny TV show?
It's the funny HBO
about
show
the super
about
rich family.
The super like evangelical family. And obviously that's not a good, representation, but I was watching this show and obviously it makes fun of Christianity and these like large mega churches, but it reminds me so much of like people that would come to me and say, well, I have to do this because of this in my church, or my church is telling me to do this, but I don't want to do this, or religion is saying this, but I don't agree with it. But if I don't agree with it, then my parents are going to shun me, or my family is going to, excommunicate me. And I think that that's also such a huge problem in our society is we create like these insane standards based on predisposed notions of what other people thought we need to be.
Oh yeah.
So that's
completely.
just our existence. So, and I mean, and you could even challenge it to say that we deal with probably spiritual burnout within the holistic community as well, because there is this constant ideology to be an absolute perfect goddess of a human and recognizing that we can't all be that all the time. We can have moments where we can feel good, where we can feel out of this world. We can walk down, Sunset Boulevard and the sun is shining and you're feeling your best. But then there's definitely those days where you're like, this sucks. And that's okay too. And I don't think a lot of people recognize that. And the people who do, it's great to have that self-awareness. But again, talking about the idea of a crash out, I think that is also a huge catalyst for it.
I definitely feel like we've been trained to not give ourselves grace when we're actually struggling a little bit. And that's what leads to burnout. Because it's like you said, we keep going and going and going until we crash. Yeah. I also think though too, that living up to other people's standards versus listening to ourselves and doing what's right for us is what causes a lot of burnout as well. I completely agree with all of that. Even like I'm so guilty, especially when you were talking about that, I was just thinking about how I try to portray what I speak with my clients about in my every single day life, right?
Yeah.
And so a book that I love so much is The 4 Agreements. Have you ever read it?
I have.
Okay. And one of the agreements is do everything to the best of your ability, right?
Yep.
And a lot of times though, I even caught myself being guilty of it sometimes where I'm like, am I doing this to the best of my ability? But then I realized too though, if I'm having a burnt out day and I need to take space for myself, me doing it a little bit is the best that I'm actually able to do for that day. So I'm not going to beat myself up just because my best that day doesn't look like my best the day before, like a week ago.
Agreed.
It'll go back up. But it's like kind of like that. It's gauging and listening to yourself versus the standards that everybody else has set for you to kind of live up to. So I love that you mentioned that.
Well, and it's really interesting too. And you talk about, like we've been to quite a few holistic and, wellness events in LA. And I've met some incredible people through those events. But I tell you what, being at those events too, as someone who is very much in the mental health world, in the wellness world, but not to like an insane degree. I guess like I'm like an in-betweener.
Also, those events too do range more on like not your traditional type of wellness, I would say.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think that, but it's interesting though, when I go to those events, I genuinely feel like I'm not doing enough.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like you see everyone like eating crazy plant-based diets and organic everything and natural skincare. And I'm just like, and then I like pull out a Sun Bum and someone was like, that has alcohol in it. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. It's, like, let me eat my Trader Joe's chicken.
Also, too, that's the thing, though. That might work for some people. If that's what they like. I'm pretty sure some people would look at me and be like,
it's just like crazy. I'm just like, okay, I understand that no one's perfect.
Yeah.
But girl, like, sometimes people take it to the extreme and then I feel burned out because I'm like trying to like be my best self. And then someone has the audacity to tell me it's not good enough because of whatever reason.
Well, that's their own problem. They probably don't think they're good enough either. That's why they keep doing all these extreme things. Not to be that person, but usually if somebody puts out a hateful or like derogatory comment towards you, it's a direct reflection of themselves.
No, for sure. And it's just like, I don't know. Anyways, but it's interesting.
I completely get that. Yeah. Totally. Especially because at these events, though, two things came to mind when you said that. I was like, one, it's really easy to see all these people doing these things because that's why we're there, right? Is for wellness and to promote like being the best version of ourselves and eating healthy and like all that great stuff, And you'll see me there feeding into all this stuff. And I love this stuff. And I do it probably like 80-90% of the time, but you're still gonna see me like going to town on a piece of chocolate cake or something.
Yeah.
And that's probably what like you right there you see what everyone wants you to see because it's an event for that. But I guarantee you a lot of those people do have their own habits that wouldn't be deemed as complete wellness.
All these people that go to these events and I look at them, I'm like, you do coke on the weekends. Shut up. like,
I don't know about that.
No, there were so many people with the Santa Monica event that we went to. They were all like claiming holistic wellness. I'm like, you 100% do drugs on the weekends. Like, what are you talking about holistic wellness?
I don't know. I'm not here to judge.
Again, we don't judge. But we judge, or what is it? We listen and we don't judge. But I will listen and judge. But that's what I mean,
though. So, in your head, though, when you first started saying, though, I'm looking at all these people and I'm thinking it's impossible to kind of like live up to. Like, that's your own kind of limiting belief that you kind of put in your head is I should be like this, like everybody else is portraying to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do agree with you that, like, sometimes, especially in this world, like, the expectations seem so freaking high and unobtainable because that's all people want you to see.
Yeah.
But remember, we are all just people, and what you see surface level or in the moment is probably not just like you. When you go, you want to put your best foot forward too.
Yeah.
But you go home and you're your other self.
Yeah.
I think it's just like not comparing yourself to other people as well as doing what's true to you is what's going to like prevent you from doing the burnout and have some grace for yourself.
Agreed. I think one of the most beautiful humans, there are two incredible humans that we've had on our podcast who I thought have been a beautiful resemblance of this. And that is Gianni and Greta. Yeah. Because they have both lived such fascinating lives and they have been through like individually both so much, but it's so fascinating being in the spaces that they're in because now they have like, you can do all of these wonderful things in the world and still be human. And there's something about that is like so special to me. And I just wish more people recognize that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I say it all the time. We're all so dualistic. Like, we don't just have to be hardcore one thing all the time. Like, we can be a bunch of different things at once and express all walks of life. Like, there's no good without the bad, like, there's times to enjoy the healthy stuff, but there's also times to like not beat yourself up for having that cake at a wedding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all about the experience and like just go at it with like a good intention and a good heart and what's best for you and everybody else and learning not to judge. But what I think too, and what I've kind of learned also from wellness events is like, it's so funny too, because I've been to a lot and I know a lot of people who've created them. And you can see the difference between an event that's going to bring you up or burn you out in a heartbeat, because there's some events where the manager of the event, the creator of it, is running around like a chicken with their head cut off, stressing out. And then you see others who are just floating around the room, like being super happy that this event is even happening to begin with. I do believe besides like workload, knowing why you're doing something and enjoying what you're doing, it also can like either make or break a burnout situation or a beautiful situation.
Yeah.
You know? So I love how you brought up the spiritual thing though too, because it's like, I don't know if that would be spiritual. I think that would just be like societal standards that cause burnout in a way. You know?
Yeah.
So one thing also that I'm curious about is boredom is one thing that I like, because when I was doing a little research on this before today, they said burnout is also caused by boredom these days.
Yeah.
So what's your perspective on that?
Don't be bored.
Easier said than done.
Yeah. Do a puzzle. You know,
do something that makes you happy.
Yeah, you know, no, genuinely. Like, I think that boredom often comes from a place of uncertainty because you don't really know what to do in those moments. No, I think of boredom, you know, you think of it as a kid and you know, you only had like one or two options to like choose something. And it's that feeling. It's that feeling of not being, it's feeling of being stuck and not being able to do anything. And so now as an adult, feeling those feelings, I feel like is like 10 times worse, in my opinion, because the problem is I think that a lot of us are used to living very active, very busy lives. And so that brings a lot of inconsistency, which then can like lead to a lot of like undesirable feelings, which then, you know, releases boredom. So at its core, when you say like what causes boredom, is that what your question was?
I guess like what's your perspective on now them saying that like
I don't even know what your question was.
I
need
think
gummies.
I think it was now just about kind of like how they're saying that boredom is a form of burnout. And I think it's almost directly, when I was reading it, it's kind of like directly related to the workplace in a way. The stuck thing is very real, where many people are like, I'm at this job that does not fulfill me and it doesn't challenge me and I don't feel supported and I'm bored here. Oh, so therefore,
that's it.
Yeah. So therefore,
get you challenged.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, no, by all means, that you're 100% right on that. So you're 100% right on that. So therefore, when they're not being challenged, when they're bored, like your energy just naturally decreases. And some people might say that's just because you're not moving and you're not using your brain. But I also call that like your energetic vibration is when you're sad and you're not in a good place, your energy lowers. And that also trickles down into like other places of your life. You're going to start hanging out with people who do the same thing and are at that energetic level as you. Therefore, your life is just going to get more boring and you're going to get more sad and you're going to get numb and you're not going to want to do anything. Hence the burnout.
Yeah. Also, don't confuse boredom with consistency, please.
What do you mean?
Like, just because you are consistent with your schedule and the things in your life doesn't mean that you're bored. Because I think a lot of people think like, oh, I'm bored because I have nothing going on. And I'm like, no, you actually have a very busy schedule. You have a lot going on. It's just very consistent. So it's very predictable. I support this 110%.
As I support it if it's something that you like to do.
Yes, for sure. And I mean, the reason I support consistency is because it gives you a baseline to be able to level up in places that you know you can when you have the availability to do so. And I think that is also a big thing for people. So my biggest takeaway from this is do not confuse boredom with consistency.
Yeah. Oh no, I love consistency as a coach. Like I tell a lot of my clients that all the time. I'm like, consistency is what forms a habit, right? And then through your habits is what changes your life. Yep. So consistency is key, especially if you want to do something. I talked to a business mentor and he's like, business is literally doing the same thing over and over again until it works. Yep. Consistency is a good thing. But the thing is, kind of getting now into ways that we can prevent burnout is you could be doing two exactly of the same tasks, but if you are not motivated or fulfilled to do one, it's going to drain you more. You're going to be more burnt out than the one that you're doing that actually like is what you want to do, that makes you happy, that fulfills your soul. You know what I mean? So I do believe a way to prevent burnout is make sure that you actually like what you're doing. And I know it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
But in the long run, it's going to pay out more. You're going to have a better, more fulfilling life.
Yeah. I always tell people, try everything once.
Yeah.
You never know.
So I definitely think finding a meaningful purpose behind everything that you're doing and going at it with a good intention is a way to prevent burnout.
Yeah.
What other ways would you consider a way to prevent burnout?
Do something new. And I said this before, try new things. That is a huge thing to do. I'm never saying like, go out and like, do meth, everyone live your best life. But, but the thing is like go out and, try something new.
Yeah.
Just go out, meet new people. If you can, go out to maybe a new bar that you haven't been to, go to a new restaurant that you haven't tried, read that new book, watch that new TV show. Whatever it is that you feel like you can engage your mind that feels safe for you within the proximity of what you hold true, to yourself, that's great. And then as you, get older, and as you expand, you can sort of take these values and keep moving with them. But yeah, at the end of the day, like just keep trying new things. And, I think also too, and I mean, this is coming from like us, a kid who, me, small town vibes in a variety of ways. But, it's like if you have consistency to the point where it's like everything's repetitive, like, and you can't find that in your community that is going to expand that, please like go find that with online resources. Like go join certain clubs, whether that be like social chat groups or, find
in other words, it's like things that will give you
about.
energy. Yeah, exactly.
But I think like people, it's like, you were from Naperville, right?
Lamont.
We're
close.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like, like I know that area, and it's like, I think like a lot, like it's just, I don't know how to describe Lamont. It's very like,
it's
black
small
and white.
towny, but it's not small towny. Because like the thing is me being who I am though too, when I got hence bored, I'd go explore, because like small towny right outside of a big city.
Yeah.
So I'm like, big city, let's go. You know what I mean? And like, that's how even though like I'd be tired doing my every single day stuff as a teenager, which trust me, that not my vibe, that town, you know what I mean? I'd go out and find things that would give me energy and give me more life. And then I was like, okay, like life's chill. I'm not like stuck in my house. Like what, and I get that. I think another thing to prevent burnout is definitely set boundaries and hold firm to them, because if you just like keep breaking them to help other people or to go the extra mile, eventually you're going to break down. So like also to recognizing the burnout before it actually starts.
Yeah.
Listen to your body, listen to yourself, say, is the situation good for me? Am I starting to get drained? Am I irritable? Ooh, man, I feel like that's one of the first signs is when somebody gets irritable.
Yeah.
And you're like, now this is also going to, but the thing is like, what does burnout cost you? It's going to rub off in other areas of your life. So not only are you making yourself just like exhausted and tired, you're making the people around you exhausted and tired too. It's not worth it. Going that extra mile is going to set you back a lot farther than you went just by doing it.
Yep.
So is there any other little tips that you can give to prevent burnout?
No, just my biggest thing is just keep challenging yourself in a healthy way. Finding
See,
those
but a lot of
things
people, when I hear challenging yourself right now, I'm like, we're talking about burnout. You're telling people to go do another challenge?
No. I mean, but like keep moving forward. I think that people like take boredom and take all these things and like, I'm burnt out because of this. Why? And I'm like, that's okay. But like I tell people like literally to not burn out, challenge yourself to do something different. Challenge yourself to sit with yourself. Challenge yourself to move forward. Challenge yourself to like not get stuck in the things that you've already done.
I get that. I think mine would probably be just like,
be kind to yourself.
That's what I was going to say is give yourself some grace and like set the standard for the life that you want to live. I'm like, in my mind, there's going to be 1,000,010 people wanting 1,000,010 things from you, but you are in control of your life. You're the one who decides what's for you, what's not for you, and how much you can handle. Do not go above and beyond for other people at the expense of yourself.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I'm like, listen to yourself, know what's true to you, and let that lead you, because it'll prevent you from burnout and it'll probably put you in a situation that's going to make you happier and more energetic.
For sure.
So I think that would probably be mine. Please, guys, take care of yourself. And until next time, I love you.
Thank you so much, and keep shining your light.